Hello and welcome to a new season of the Tom Sawyer Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. I'm Corey Pradell, and joined as always by Winona State head football coach Tom Sawyer. And Coach, couldn't dream probably of a better way to start out the season than a 47-13 win over Northern State. It must feel great to have such a convincing win like that in the season opener.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun, taking the guys on the road and got 80 people heading for South Dakota together. It was really a lot of fun, and we played well in the opener, and that's something that we were looking for. And sure, you could always find something to do a little better, but overall, great start and a really exciting trip for the Warriors.
Be remiss if we didn't talk about the play of Josh Mikas. Probably one of the best wide receiver performances in the NSIC in quite some time. Going for 4 touchdowns, 224 yards through the air, 13 catches. All 3 of those categories were one of the top in the record books for Warrior history. What did you think of his performance, and what allowed him to have so much success against Northern State?
Well, I was mad that he dropped one. He had a great day. I mean, Jack was putting it right on his hands. He made a one-handed catch that was great. He got behind the defense. So his ability, that's kind of what we expect from Josh now. And I don't mean to be, kind of funny about that, but it's really true. He's a very good talent. We protect the quarterback. He can find ways to get open. So his play this weekend was fun to watch from the sideline.
Then you talked about Jack Nelson, the guy throwing him the ball. Josh wouldn't have so much success if he didn't have a guy like Jack throwing him the ball. You've heard the idea of a sophomore slump all the time gets thrown around. You don't expect that with Jack. In fact, he comes out and throws 5 touchdowns. He's so cool, calm, and collected. And, what does Jack have to do to take even another step forward? I know he's such a modest guy, and he said earlier this year he didn't even think he played that well last year. But what do you expect from him this year?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. He is very modest. He's a worker. He wants to be great at the mental part of the game, to understand the defenses, to understand protections where he can move it around to protect himself, as well as put our team in a better position to run the ball or throw it. And so I think that's what he's after right now. But there's that sophomore slump thing. We didn't put him on Sports Illustrated, so we don't have to worry about that. But more importantly, he's a very quality quarterback. He's got a big arm. We just need to do a great job protecting him and let him throw it around.
Absolutely. And then one more offensive storyline I thought was really neat. Was the play of Theo Burkett returning after almost 3 full calendar years of being off and being injured, unfortunately. He sprung that run earlier that was awesome, got called back from a penalty, and then a couple plays later he springs a 75-yard touchdown. What was not only yours but his and the entire team's thoughts when they saw him sprinting down the sidelines like that?
Well, we'd hope that he'd make it all the way there. As old as he is, we're glad he didn't pass out halfway there. But more importantly, everybody felt great for Theo, personally and as a team, of course, getting a 75-yard touchdown. But we knew that he was back. He ran the play. Josh was out there escorting him into the end zone. But to see him, it was almost kind of heart-wrenching after all that he had been through, and then all of a sudden there he is running down the sideline like he was never hurt. I felt very, very proud of him.
Explosive as the offense was, I think maybe the most impressive part about the game was the play of the defense. No secret, last year the defense didn't perform up to expectations for a good part of the year. But this year you got some new guys in the secondary, and the front 7 played really great as well. And it just seemed like it's an entirely different defense, even though a lot of the faces are the same. Well,
we tried to change the culture, and I think Brian Curtin and Dave Braun and Zach Barton have done a tremendous job, as well as Keely Flood. But they created a new culture on the defense, and it's something that we playing a little chip on our shoulder. We got something to prove mentality, and we do. And it was an area of our concern. And you mentioned that in the secondary we got some more kids back there that are athletic, and Andrew Spencer and Devontae Wilcox and Ryan Kane, and you add that with Larry and Tevin and Patrick Lazar and Mitch Lunder. All of a sudden we got some competition in those positions. You got to play well to get on the field, and then up front, getting Kyle English back. He's just like Theo. He's in his 6th year and hasn't played for 2 years. So you get some of the old and some of the young talent, and if they mesh well together, great things can happen. So we expect that to continue to grow. They're not where we need to be yet, but we're much, much improved and very excited for them.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Kyle English. We'll talk to him just a little bit later on. Well, actually, you will, as you're going to be interviewing the players. Little new thing this year. Instead of having me ask the questions, we're going to hear it straight from you, and I think that'll be pretty cool. So we'll hear from him in just a little bit.
We're bringing back the old school way a little bit, and it's kind of fun, and I like to pick on the guys a little bit, so I'm excited for that as well. But, he's a tremendous talent, obviously, and, with 1 year to go and you're a senior, you've been waiting that long to play, he's pretty hungry.
Absolutely. So we'll stick around, and you'll hear from him in a little bit right here on the Warrior Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. Our first guest today is Coach Cam Keller, offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. Coach, thanks for being here, buddy.
Glad to have you.
Well, obviously everybody's been talking about Jack Nelson. Getting through the first game here with a big win out at Northern. What's your assessment of Jack Nelson so far?
Well, obviously, the biggest question mark for us going into the game was how he was going to handle the wind. You get out there with a 30-mile-an-hour wind pretty consistently throughout warm-ups, and a lot of it's out of his control. He puts the ball in the air, and you don't know where it's going to end up. But I think he did a nice job of keeping the ball online, putting it where he needed to, and getting the ball in a situation where our guys could catch it pretty easily. So I think he handled the wind as well as he could have. We had the game last year at Sioux Falls that it definitely affected him a little bit. So I was a little concerned that was going to be the case again, but it definitely showed he'd been there before and was calm with it, and it didn't bother him. And so we're pretty happy about that. Obviously the progress he's made from one year to the next has been very, very impressive. Last year we tried to water things down a little bit just to kind of keep him able to go out and process things quickly, and now he actually understands everything he's looking at. And so we're able to do a little bit more with him, and he's seeing the whole field, and it's been fun to see his progress.
You talk about quarterback play, and people don't really understand, I don't think, how much goes into being a quarterback. But in that quarterback room, you're a former quarterback and have coached quarterbacks most of your career. What goes on in that room that nobody else would know besides the treats that your wife makes for him?
Well, and she's taking good care of him right now. So I told her as long as we keep passing like this, she's going to keep cooking. For us, I think we probably pay a lot more attention to just some of the little nuances that the teams are doing in the secondary. And then on top of that, he also has to know what's going on with the defensive fronts. He has to be able to pick up when the defenses are bringing some type of stunt package and get us into different protection checks, get us in and out of different run plays based on what the safeties are doing. So it's not just seeing a coverage. It's every play we do, every play that we have on the script, he's got a responsibility to be able to get us in the right situation if they do something that's detrimental to us. And so there's a lot more attention to detail with every single snap and formation that we're in than most people would probably recognize.
Let's switch gears just real quick and talk about your role with the Warriors, and you have lots of them. Associate head coach, helping me every single day with everything that we're doing, and also with the quarterbacks. But really running the offense, what does it take during the week to really get our offense ready to go by Saturday afternoon?
Well, I think here we're blessed to have a staff, and you're in there every day with us, that we work well together, and we're able to bounce some ideas off each other. And so when it comes to the stress that may be there for putting a whole game plan together, it doesn't exist. Coach Spencer does a great job of making sure that our run game is ready to go, and everything that we're going to see on Saturday is stuff that we can run the football against. And Coach Justice has done a nice job with the wide receivers of making sure that all the pass game gets installed correctly and what they're going to see defensively from the coverage standpoint. And you have the running backs, and so it alleviates a lot of the pressure of just one guy doing everything. I think if you have one guy doing one whole side of the football, you leave a lot of room for things to get missed because there just isn't enough hours in the day to do it. So definitely blessed to have the guys that I work with that I can trust that everything we put up on the board is going to have a chance to be very successful.
And the last question I have for you, Coach, is on a personal side. With a family with two small children and running back and forth, and your wife working down on lacrosse. How do you try to balance coaching? Because so many people look at the coaching profession as, I want to be a coach, I want to be a coach. But how do you do it with two young children?
Well, you hit it on the head. I'm blessed to have a wife that she truly loves what I do, and she's completely bought in. Having been a head coach before, she saw some of the things that go along with that role, and she's really just taken to the next level the role of being a coach's wife and what that means. And she's very involved with our players as far as the quarterbacks go. Obviously, my kids are around all the time, and they love it. My son wants to be a quarterback, and if he doesn't ever grow, he might be a kicker. But my daughter goes to football camp here, and I think what you try to do is you try to understand that during the 4 or 5 months of the season, this is really the bulk of my time. But then those other 7 or 8 months, I'm going to try to make sure that everything I do, the majority of the time, I'm with my family. Now, I still go home every night for dinner, and try to spend as much time as I can. Tonight, Thursday night, I get to go home right after practice and have dinner with my family and spend some time with my kids, and that's the stuff that's most important to me. But it's definitely a balancing act, but we've been doing it long enough now that I think we've learned the little tricks, and like I said, I'm blessed to have a wife that is completely bought in.
Cool deal. Coach, thanks for your time here. And
thanks for
in a
having
minute,
me.
we're going to come back and start with our players. And the first one up is going to be Kyle English. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. Our first student guest here is Kyle English. Kyle, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. And as we talked earlier today at our luncheon, we talked about coming back in your sixth year and playing and the difficult trials that you had along the way. Why don't you share with people that are watching the show today what you really had to go through over the last couple of years getting ready to play again?
Well, started out, I had a back injury 2012, I think it was. Herniated a couple discs in my back, and that really set me back a lot. It's tough to do really anything with your back when you got that kind of injury. Then a year later, I think I'm ready for the field, and the ACL happened, tore that bad boy. So I had to go through rehab and all that stuff, and they're really kind of similar. You're working on your core and stuff, but you just got to have a good mindset that you're going to get back on the field and get after it again. And here I am now, healthy enough to play.
You know, you talk about other kids watching that and watching you go through those struggles, and I never heard you complain once. I know you had a lot of frustrating days and a lot of depression setting in and those kind of things, but do you actually realize the inspiration that you had with the other kids on the team, and what effect do you think that kind of a model really shows our younger players?
Well, I mean, early on, I didn't really know like what my role was going to be. You're hurt. You're not a player. I mean, you are a player, but you're not on the field. They can't see you playing. But you still have a voice, and I felt that I could do as much as I can with my voice. I'm going to talk, and I'll be as big a leader as I can. And right now, I feel like I'm doing my best, and I feel like I got a good voice. And now that I can show it on the field, I can also be a leader on the field as well.
You know, and you're learning football throughout that whole time, but how do you think that those 2 years off has now contributed to the kind of player that you are now with the knowledge that you've learned over those 2 years? It's
huge because you spend those 2 years watching football instead of playing football. It's almost as if I was a coach for a lot of practices actually. I was a coach. I would get a game plan and I'd run drills with the guys and I'd critique them and stuff. I'd watch film with the guys, and it kind of felt like I was a coach. But now that you're a player, it's awesome to come back in and be able to know, like, well, this is your key and you're supposed to go here. It's great. I mean, I'm sure you'd love to get back on the field.
Absolutely. I just wouldn't last as long as you anymore. You know, and the last thing about that, you know, you got out to Northern, and we're playing the first time on the road, and 7 hours on a bus, and we get to go out on the field. You know, getting your hands on the opponent one more time, what'd that really feel like?
It was everything that I wanted and more, really. These hands are not made to. They're not made to just sit on a keyboard all day. I mean, they will be in the future, maybe, but no, it feels good just to put the hand in the dirt, get it on the guy, and getting that sack was just huge for me. Just getting a hold of the quarterback, because you watch so many games, you think, oh, I could do that, I could be in there, but I was, and I did, and now I want more. I'm not satisfied at all.
You know, you look at going back to when you walked in here as a freshman, and look at where you are today. And where Winona State is today. A lot has changed in our program, and as we continue to grow in our program. What are some of the highlights that you've seen and change in the football program since you first set foot on the ground here?
Well, there's been a lot. I feel like there's a lot more fans that come now, and once you get older, you start to recognize the community is coming, and we're a bigger part of this community as they a part of us. But I don't know, just the surrounding core around our team is beautiful, and leadership has changed as well, but I feel like this year we got something really good going for us.
You know, just talk briefly about, you know, every day you're in meetings with a guy by the name of Zach Barton, Coach Barton, and I know you two guys, I never saw him play, but I know the way he coaches. I'm sure you're very similar with the way you played, but talk about the dynamics of the defensive line room, especially with Coach Barton in charge.
Well, if you or if any people watching would sit in our meetings, they would enjoy them thoroughly. They're good meetings. They're entertaining, but he really is. He's my best coach I've ever had, and I've had coaches. I mean, played since 4th grade. He knows what he's doing. He's intense, but he'll get to you on a personal level, and I think me and him click as well. As a lot of players, they click with him. He's a serious guy, but you can joke with him too. But he really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like his physical, he's kind of in your face, and that's like how I am. We really clicked. My freshman year when he was here, GA, and he came back, and I was blessed to have him here now.
Yeah. You know, the last thing I have for you as we're talking today is, you know, here we are playing our first home game, and the first game back on Maxwell Field, and you know, what do you have to do, and what does the defense have to do to be successful against Mary this weekend?
Well, Mary's a quick team. They're going to run a quick offense, quicker than Northern. Actually, Northern was pretty quick, but they're going to get to the line of scrimmage. They're going to run their play, and they're going to keep going and going. But we have a fast defense. We really do. There's a lot of speed on the field, and we've been practicing all week, and we've been scheduling, and we know what we're doing. So I think we just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll be fine.
Sounds good. Well, I wish you well this weekend, and good luck, and go find yourself a quarterback.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks. And we'll be right back with Alex Jensen, tight end for the Warriors. And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show. And with us is tight end Alex Jensen. Alex, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you for having me, Coach.
All right, let's get right to it. Game day, Saturday, 1 o'clock. What do the Warriors offense have to do to be productive?
Just got to continue doing what we've been doing and just be explosive the way we have. And as long as we can keep our quarterback, you know, give him some time to throw the football, I think we'll be just fine. You know, we've got plenty of playmakers out there and get it done.
You know, up front, obviously working as a tight end, you're working side by side with those offensive tackles and other tight ends around you all the time. Up front, we got some new kids in there. We got some old guys like you and Vance Ross and some of those guys, but mixing in some of that youth that's been playing pretty well so far. What do we have to do to keep that going to be positive up front?
Right, it is a good mix, and you know they brought in some new talent and some young guys, and I think the more reps they see and the more teams and defensive fronts they see, just the better they can get. I mean, the sky's the limit for that group. I think, like I said, there's a bunch of talent, and just the more reps we get together, I think we gelled so well with a bunch of old guys last year, and we had a ton of experience on our O-line, and it's kind of been somewhat of a change this year coming in, having to kind of show these guys the ropes, but they're doing a nice job and taking the concepts well, and just think the more they play, the better they'll get. So.
You know, we've always been a pretty balanced offense. You know, we ran for 200 last week, and we threw for almost 400 last week. When you're in a hybrid position like playing tight end, what are the fun side of playing tight end, and what's the grind part about playing tight end?
Well, the fun part is both catching balls and being able to. I love to block, so being able to finish and then being a receiver as well. So you're just a big receiver out there. And the grind part would be they ask you to do a lot, but I do enjoy that part as well. But having to block a 280-pound D lineman and then go run a corner post route, 60 yards down the field, you can get a little winded sometimes. But that's also what makes it fun. You get to do both things, and just, in my opinion, one of the best positions out there. So I really enjoy it. You know,
you come from, here you are. You're also in your 6th year. You've been around here a long time, and talk about your development as a tight end and as a student athlete here at Winona State. What transpired for Alex Jensen for the last 5 years?
Well, yeah, it's been a long ride, like you said. This is my 6th year, and I've just picked up a lot from a lot of good people and a lot of good coaches, not even just in football. I've just been blessed to, AJ Blazik was here. He was one of the best life role models I ever had. He was a stickler on all the little things, and even when it came to, outside of football and being in class and getting it done, and, Coach Sawyer, and just the people that have been around me, the way they've influenced this program, and, it kind of shapes you into who you are today. So it's been nice to, I can even see now as a 6-year guy, where I came from and the growth that I've had. So it's been a really good experience.
Well, this summer you took another step in growth. You got married down in Phoenix, and got married to a Winona State, was a student athlete here as well, and obviously some of us were down at the wedding, had a great time. But what I want to share with that is how many Winona State people were involved with that wedding, and talk about that and the association that you have that'll be lifelong.
Yeah, we had probably half of the team down there, and a bunch of the guys from my team just stand up. You saw Kyle out here. He was standing up in the wedding. We had Vance. We had Pat. We had Lilla, Richard. And yeah, I mean, those guys will be, my best friends for the rest of my life. So I mean, the friendships and the connections that I've made is just unbelievable. And I had coaches there from when I was a freshman. Coach Walsh even got to show up, so that was a good thing to see. And I mean, the Winona connection that I've created is just, it's unbelievable, the network. So,
you know, in today's show, we've talked to two guys that have been around a long time, and now that you're going to be an alumni here in December as you graduate. But what is your experience here at Winona State? What does it really mean to you now that you're looking at, walking out the door at Winona State for the last time as an undergrad?
Right, it'll be definitely special to, finish up getting my degree here, and the whole degree thing is really nice. It was a long time coming, but it's been a great experience and something that I wouldn't trade for the world. It was being able to get a chance to play the game you love, and at the same time go to a good institution. And the way Winona has handled everything, it's an unbelievable experience for me.
Now, are you going to feel bad, Alex, when you leave Minnesota and move down to Phoenix? Because I know that your wife Ellie already has a job down there, and you guys have got a place set up. And are you ready for that? Why don't you tell the folks what it's going to be like as you load up the car for the last time and head to Phoenix?
Right. Yeah. No, I do miss Minnesota, actually, as hard as it may seem to believe, but. I'm getting out just in time. December is when I'll graduate, so I'm getting out and going to go enjoy the winter down there and maybe catch some sun for a little bit. So it should be a nice little change of pace. I'm excited for it.
Still be okay if a couple coaches come and visit once in a while?
Oh, yeah. Come on down. We'll play some golf or something.
Sounds good. I enjoyed it. Well, congratulations on your great start, and let's keep this thing rolling.
Appreciate it.
And welcome back to the Tom Sawyer Show here on the Warrior Sports Network. One final segment. Now it's time to look ahead to Saturday, a home opener against the University of Mary. They're a team you can't take lightly. The past couple times you've come away with victories against them, but they've been very close. One was a lower scoring game. One a couple years ago up in Mary was a 46-43 one you kind of eked out. But you guys got a great team, but they always seem to present a challenge. So what do you expect from Mary when they come to town on Saturday?
We expect the same thing. They have very talented kids. They're kids that have a lot of potential. They're a fast football team. They play hard. Very similar to everybody else in this league, where if you don't play great, you can get beat. So we have to really make sure that we take a step forward from the Northern game and continue to grow as a football team, and know that we got our hands full with the Marauders coming to town.
Season openers are always a little bit unexpected, especially when you're playing at home for the first time. I'm sure the guys are going to be really jacked up at the beginning. What do you have to do? Do you think you're going to have to worry about calming them down at all, or are they just ready to go out and play?
I never want to calm anybody down. We play better at a high level. Of course, you want to be under control. But yeah, our guys are excited to play at home. When you only get 6 home games in a season like we have this year, they want to make the most of it. We have a great atmosphere, people coming out to our tailgate parties, and the team walking down through all the people. I mean, the atmosphere around it will be awesome. Can't wait to get on the field. Maxwell Field is awesome on game day.
You had a pretty well-rounded game against Northern State. Put up big numbers, 600 yards of offense, only gave up 13 points on defense. But what's one thing that you want to see your team improve upon when Mary comes to town as opposed to a week ago up in Aberdeen?
Well, we got to do better special teams. We need to play better on the special teams. Our specialists need to play better. We need to make points when we had opportunities, whether it's field goal or point after touchdowns. We have to cover better. The scores they did get at Northern were a direct reflection of not covering very well, so that's been an emphasis to us, and they have a very good return game. So that's a point of emphasis for this football game, but we just want to play a clean game. Just go by our assignments, play as hard as you can, and good things will happen, and that's what we look forward to on Saturday.
And one final thing, before the ball even kicks off, kind of a bittersweet but special deal you have going on where Winona State's going to honor Sean Afrill, a football player who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. But what do you kind of have planned for that, and what do you think that'll mean to the guys to be able to remember him and have Sean's family come down for the game?
Well, I think the big thing is the fact that we are celebrating a life and celebrating a young man at just 20 years old and coming in here, and he came here in July, and he instantly became part of our football team. I had some great conversations with him about teaching and coaching, and you could really see the kind of person that he was in a short amount of time that we knew him, and he had a dramatic effect on our football team with the guys that he got to know here right away. Having the family here for the home opener, and having a presentation of a jersey and some other things from our university president and our athletic director and everybody from Winona being a part of this and also helping raise money for the foundation down there. And I think that is something that we can do from our end. It makes you feel good in the heart and knowing it's a tragedy, but knowing that family is going to be here and know that they have all the support of Warrior Nation, I think is really important.
Absolutely. It should be a very fun afternoon Saturday when the University of Mary Marauders come to town here at Maxwell Field at Warrior Stadium. 1 o'clock kickoff. We'll see you. We'll see the team there, and we hope to see you there. Until next week with Coach, I'm Corey Burdell here on the Tom Sawyer Show on the Warrior Sports Network.